What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Final Whistle. I'm Danny Erb, joined alongside my guy, Nathan Osler. Nate's got some technical issues today, so bear with
Ugh.
us. Working off his phone today. No computer
Oh,
set
this
up
is
for Nate.
awful.
Got the AirPods in, so you'll hear the audio from there. But we're gonna bear through it, right, Nate?
I'll try my best. This is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. I think the first thing I know we didn't cover the Tyreek Hill situation last year. I think we should get to that after this. Woke up this morning, looked at my phone. Deshaun Watson has retorn his Achilles, Nate. He tore. I guess what happened. They said he rolled his ankle and re-tore the Achilles after he just got surgery on it and was in the recovery process. So now we've got to do the whole thing again, and it's everything's screwed up because now Deshaun Watson is going to miss. They're saying probably all of next year as well, or majority of next year because he tore that Achilles early-ish on in the season. And then they kind of went with Jameis the whole way. And then they went with Bailey Zappi in the last week. But man, the Browns fans just can't catch a break. This could go down as historically one of the worst contracts in NFL history. They paid Deshaun Watson, man. They gave him a bag. And you know what? One of the worst. This is going to go down there with like Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, this contract just looks actually awful. You hate to see the injury, but like, it kind of bad karma if you want to say it in that way.
I mean, yeah, you can
Um,
say that.
but how do you get injured? You have a hiccup during an actual injury, so it looks like he's going to miss all of 2025, the upcoming year. And that would include the beginning of 2026 as well. So he might not be playing football until
Ever again.
2026.
I can
Or
see him
honestly, like,
again.
yeah, the next time he might be in the NFL might either be as a backup or he might be in the UFL if it's still alive. Maybe the CFL.
Good
Who
Lord.
knows? And as you're
I mean,
talking here, I'm gonna try to rejoin StreamYard. If it
all
doesn't
right.
work, then we'll see
Yeah.
what
I
happens.
mean, it's pathetic to say the least. It is a pathetic situation going on in Cleveland right now. Deshaun Watson, obviously, if you're a long-term viewer of the channel, you know that I absolutely hate Deshaun Watson with every single one, every ounce of hate in my body. I hate that guy. I think he's a horrible human being, and I think that he sucks at football. And I don't know what he's worse at. I don't know if he's a worse person or a worse football player. Dude sucks. I hate the Browns. So yeah, this is I'll never be happy for an injury ever in my life. That will never happen. But man, this sucks for Cleveland. It's hard for me to feel remorse for that organization and Cleveland fans, but man, they've been through a lot. Like JJ just said, 40 quarterbacks have started for the Cleveland Browns since 1999. That's pathetic. That is pathetic. I think the Packers have had 3 since like ever. They had Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, now Jordan Love. Like it's been like that's how you run an organization with quarterbacks. Browns just have never figured it out. I mean, the best quarterback in their franchise history, Baker Mayfield, and they got rid of Baker, and now he's just a dog out in Tampa Bay. Gotta love Baker, but the Browns, man, what do you do now? What's the next step forward from Deshaun Watson tearing his Achilles? I think that you just bite the bullet, you cut him. Okay, we gotta dip into these boxes now. Bite the bullet, cut Deshaun Watson. Let me change this until Nate gets back so I don't look dumb. Bite the bullet, get rid of Deshaun Watson because he's horrible. He sucks. He's no good. And draft quarterback, but the quarterback class is so unbelievably bad this year that I think that they're going to be a really bad team next year, guys. They're going to be a sickeningly bad NFL program next year, the Cleveland Browns. I think that they went at the end of the season, they said, listen, let's just get rid of this year. Deshaun will be back next year. We've got a great defense. We've got something of an offense with Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku. Those guys have kind of proven to be, good receiving threats to a point. And yeah, here we go.
Hello.
Gotta add Nate on here. My bad. Those guys have kind of, proven to be good receiving threats. So Um, but now you have to go quarterback. I think the Browns were in a position where it was kind of like, okay, Nick Chubb is Dunzo again. He's going to be out for a long time. Let's draft another piece of offense because our defense is legit. But now you got to go quarterback. And do the Browns go with a Cam Ward or someone like that and their 31st starting quarterback? What do you do if you're Cleveland? Because you can't just be like, okay, let's just keep moving. You got to make a change because Deshaun Watson, first of all, was not giving you the level of play that you needed out of a $230 million guaranteed quarterback, Nate. He was playing like Kenny Pickett out there.
Yeah, first of all, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I had to take out my earbuds because now they're dead. Great day for technology here in my end.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the whole Deshaun Watson thing is just, you got to, I kind of don't feel bad for that franchise just because I don't like the Cleveland Browns. Also, keep me updated with the chat because I can't see it on my phone.
Okay.
So that's going to be fun. But other than that, it's such a wacky issue for Cleveland to be having at this point in time. And also, they have the number 2 overall pick in the upcoming draft. So are they going to pick a quarterback, sign a QB, run it with DTR? I don't know what they're going to do.
No shot. Trust Jameis, maybe? He's not – Jameis isn't horrible. Jameis is a great placeholder, right? But he's – Jameis Winston – the Browns had a window. They had some sort of window, and I don't mean to cut your point off here, but they had a window, Nate. And I think they feel so obliged to – this is the first window they've had since I've been alive. So I think they feel the need to capitalize on it. And I think now that window is dying out and now there's talks of Myles Garrett leaving and everything's about to collapse, I think Cleveland is just desperate for something. They're desperate to keep that hope of the fans that somehow thought that they were Super Bowl contenders for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Cleveland Browns in their status right now might go down as a giant failure. They've been a failure, but this hasn't been a hypothetical type of window for them that they just haven't been able to take advantage of. The most they did was beat the Steelers in the playoffs. That's about it. Then they went to Kansas City and lost right after that. Then they got rid of that quarterback who led them to the playoffs, and now he's succeeding in Tampa Bay. And when we get to our playoff scenarios / predictions for the rest of the postseason, we can talk about whatever Baker Mayfield's been up to. But that team overall is just a dumpster fire right now. They're in a very bad situation. I would be very shocked if they don't pick a quarterback now with this Deshaun Watson news. And we've talked about the quarterbacks in this draft. It's going to be a overdraft for the Cleveland Browns, overdrafting a quarterback where they shouldn't be a number 2 overall pick. Probably Shedeur Sanders, more than likely. Maybe Cam Ward, but I could completely see the Cleveland Browns jumping on Shedeur Sanders, knowing there's the hypothetical picture of him with the Giants cleats next to his locker. I don't know if you saw that before. I could see Cleveland jumping in on that and failing to develop Shedeur Sanders, even though I already don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. You made it perfect. He's played in the Pac-12 mainly, and now he's in the Big 12. It's rare for those types of QBs, even though I like the Big 12 a little bit more than the Pac-12 when it used to be a thing. But I don't know. It's such a weird situation. You know what? I kind of want to move on to Tyreek Hill while we're on this functional type of thing. It came out. He changed his profile picture after the Dolphins missed out on the playoffs. If you didn't see this, about how he was done with them, done with the Dolphins. But now, as of yesterday, I think it was, all of a sudden, things are all fine in the Tyreek Hill and Dolphins universe. He seems like he wants to be a Dolphin now. Let's hear your thoughts, because I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
Man, let me try and pull up the clip here of what Tyreek Hill said. Press conference interview after the game. Yeah, let me pull this up right here. 2 minutes. All right. So Tyreek Hill was asked, let me present this, share screen. Bear with us for a second. Just 1 second. Share screen. So Tyreek Hill was asked, basically, you'll see.
How do you feel about not getting to 1,000 yards this season?
I mean, it is what it is, man. It's life, man. I feel like at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that, I need to reassess, about, my career and, just see what I need to do, to continue to get better, as a player. So I can continue to reach that 1,000-yard mark. So it is what it is.
What do you think is the biggest reason the team finished 8 and 9?
I would say for me, man, as a captain,
because you suck.
It was a tough season, man. It sucks, man. Missing QB1, man. It really hurts a lot, man. Not having him, but Snoop did a great job of filling in whenever he learned the offense, getting us going. But whenever you're missing, your franchise player, man, it kind of sucks. So.
As a captain, what is the message you have to these guys in the offseason and to your fielders at the end of the season next week?
I don't even know, bro. This is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, if that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door,
Oh, goodness.
I'm out, bro. So it was great playing here, but all right, at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for for my career and what's best, because I'm too much of a competitor to be just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey, yes.
So they asked him, "You're thinking about leaving here?" He basically said he wants out.
They just walked off.
I talked about this week 1 when Jamar Chase was being a diva. If anyone's noticed, I have the jerseys up here, right here. Hold on, right here, next to my RG3 jersey. Used to be a Tyreek Hill jersey. Used to be a Tyreek Hill Dolphins jersey. It's been taken down.
Oh,
this was one of my favorite receivers in the NFL. I've lost all respect for this guy, Nate, and let me tell you why. You can't blame. You can't be on the Chiefs and be on top of the world. You're in talks of being the best receiver in the NFL. You are a part of a legacy. You are cementing yourself as a Hall of Famer week in and week out. And then you know what you do? You say, you know what? I think I'm better than the best team in the NFL, probably the best coach in the NFL right now, best quarterback in the NFL, the best system in the NFL right now. I want to go take my talents to Miami. I want to go chase a bag and play with a more accurate quarterback, is what he called Tua Tagovailoa at the time. First year they play, an amazing season. Tyreek Hill has one of the best offensive seasons of all time. He's unbelievable. He's wins the awards, amazing receiver, had a great year. Then this year comes around. Expectations are the same. Dolphins are expected to win a playoff game, go deep in the playoffs. They've got a core. The running back situation's kind of meshing together where they've got, A-Chain's going to take that step forward this year. Tua is going to finally take a step forward. Mike McDaniels is this next, up-and-coming head coach. Everything is good for Tyreek Hill. And then Tua Tagovailoa gets another concussion and goes down. Missing only 6 games, I believe. It was 6 games.
And it kind of derailed their season, too.
It derailed their season for sure.
Yeah.
And now Tyreek Hill wants out. So he gets one taste of being back to normal, back to the status quo. And he wants out. Where the hell do you want to go, Tyreek? Because the grass is not always greener. And that's what you learned in Kansas City. That's what you've learned. So if you want to force yourself out of a decent situation, I think there is changes that needs to be made. I think Mike McDaniels is not a capable head coach for this team because they don't win the games they should. I don't think you need to putting the blame on the quarterback situation is what he did in that clip. That's absurd. Nate, Tua Tagovailoa played 11 games this year. Sure. By all means, I get that. Okay, that's still not enough for what you want your starting quarterback to be. But in those 11 games, Tyreek Hill still put up stinker after stinker after stinker, and he couldn't get open, Nate. It wasn't the fact that Tyreek Hill is, doesn't have a quarterback and he's missing these throws. No, Tua is still your guy, the guy that you claim to be the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Isn't getting the job done. Tyreek, this is no one's fault but yours. You are a greedy receiver who chased money and is now realizing that it hurt your legacy. Because if you were in Kansas City last year, you would have had another ring, right? So you would have had 3 rings at a young point in your NFL career. You're not even 30 yet. Probably going to get another 4th ring. Going to win 3 rings in a row. It would be you, Mahomes, and Travis Kelce would be the undisputed best trio of all time. But no, you wanted to chase a bag, go to Miami, kick your little feet in the sand, be the cheetah, be the fastest guy, be the Legion of Zoom with Jaden Waddle. Man, I love Tyreek Hill. Nate, I just can't care for him anymore. Guys that do this and want out because a year doesn't go their way and think they're higher than life. I can't stand it. NFL receivers are the biggest divas in professional sports. I think easily. I think they clear all the guys in the NBA that are knuckleheads. I think NFL receivers, it's unbelievable. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent here, but I just can't stand this, Nate. I can't stand it. It's always rubbed me the wrong way since I was a kid and Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell pulled this garbage on my team. I won't stand for it. I don't care if you're a Cleveland Brown. I don't care if you're a Cincinnati Bengal, if you're a Raven. With Jamar Chase, I couldn't stand it. I think if you sign a contract to a team, you are committed to that team through thick in and thick out. That is qualities that I look for in a good player. You are there through the thick and the thin. And when stuff doesn't go your way, you don't pack your bags and hit the road. You stay there and you want to be a part of a winning franchise, and you want to be the reason the Miami Dolphins win a Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill needs to be the reason, not just tag along and be the cheetah and hit 2 go routes a game and be that guy. No, he needs to start being the reason they win football games, and he was not this year. There's no one to blame but Tyreek Hill in this situation. There's no one to blame.
Man, what a tangent. That might go down in history as one of your best rants I've ever heard.
God.
So I agree with I basically agree with everything you said. And my biggest thing with this situation is he changed his profile picture to him over AB leaving the Bucks in that NFL game. I don't know if you saw it. He cropped his face. He has then since changed it back to him back on the Dolphins. So magically he wants to be back on the Dolphins. Now here's the thing. If you are the Dolphins ownership and you brought in this star player in a blockbuster deal, okay?
He's not even in a contract year. He's not a free agent.
Why would you want to keep a guy on this team whenever you were a team that was basically a game away from the playoffs? Why would you want to keep him if he vocally said in angrily fashion, I want out. I don't want to be here. It's not a fit practically. He just didn't magically change his mind yesterday, changing his profile picture back. Those thoughts are still probably in his head. And if he's not there mentally, he doesn't want to be there. You can easily tell. It happens in the NFL all the time. I'm very curious.
I'll tell you why. It's because for the first year of Tyreek Hill's collegiate career, he had to go to Garden City Community College because he's an idiot. And then he had to go to the University of West Alabama to get a shot at Oklahoma State. Okay? Because he's an idiot. That's why he had to go to Garden City, because his GPA was probably a 1.1. He's a clown.
Yeah. Also, let me know if there's an echo because I had to turn on my phone. I think this whole situation is just how the NFL is, what it's turned into. It's a big, we want to play with our friends type of league. We want more money. You always want the most money you can make. I'll give it to them. They want the money. If they deserve the money, it's all for them. It's basically their job. I get it. You would want to raise 2 if you were outperforming. He didn't have the best year. This was probably one of the worst years of Tyreek Hill's career. This was probably, I would say, the worst year of Tyreek Hill's entire career.
Yeah.
It was not fun to watch. He clearly missed having a good quarterback in Tua when he was out. You brought up he missed all those games. Tyreek Hill basically disappeared all those games. Everyone was trading him in fantasy. People were dropping him in fantasy. I know fantasy football doesn't mean anything, but if that shows you anything, people just gave up on Tyreek Hill this year. He was a pick of mine for Opoy before the year started. How dumb do I look now? And I was even high on the Dolphins this year, and that makes me look even more stupid. The Dolphins are just another one of those franchises that kind of just make me mad. Not as mad as the teams in New York do with wasting all the potential they have and just being a void of nothingness. The Dolphins are always going to be in the mix, and they will not take advantage of it or just have some sort of dysfunctional issues, a.k.a. receiver issues right now with Tyreek Hill. Does he want out? He says, I don't want out. I changed my mind. He said that and changing his profile picture back to him on the Dolphins. But there's no way the ownership group, the GM, the coach are going to magically forget what he said after that game. There's no way they did not see him crop his face on a profile picture of Antonio Brown leaving the Bucs with his shirt off, giving the peace sign. There is no way they did not see that. And if I were to give a prediction before we move on, a percentage in what I think if he's on the Dolphins next year, right now it's a 50-50 shot. Maybe 60-40 out of Miami. I would move on from him. If
Where
you're
do you
the
want to go?
Dolphins,
Like,
just trade him elsewhere. I don't know. Wherever. Who else needs a
I
wide
swear to
receiver?
God, I swear to God, I would trade him to I'd trade him to the Giants. So I would analyze, if I was an owner, I would say, okay, where's the worst fit for Tyreek Hill? Actually, no, I would just bench him.
See, if there's realistically teams, and I mean teams should be on Tyreek Hill if he's available. He had a bad year, but you should be in on him. There's certain teams that stick out that need wide receiver help. I'm not even going to say the Steelers because I don't want them personally. The Chargers stick out for me.
We can't handle him.
I think he would love to live in LA, but I don't think it would be I don't know how he'd be able to hold up if he's especially saying this stuff about Miami. LA is also another major market in the NFL. Probably, honestly, the biggest market in the NFL. LA, Los Angeles, it is what it is. Yeah. I know Kansas City is one of the best teams, but market-wise, LA is probably the biggest market. You have two football teams, Rams, Chargers. I think the Chargers would pounce all over the opportunity to add a Tyreek Hill, put him with Ladd McConkey, who is currently probably their wide receiver one, ahead of Quentin Johnson. So I think the Chargers could be a fit. But as of now, as we move on here, I would give Tyreek Hill not being a Dolphin a 60-40% chance of yes, he is not a Dolphin next year. But I don't know about you. I kind of want to move on to go through all these playoff matchups.
I agree. I was going to bring that up as well.
And here's how I think we do it. I have the bracket pulled up. I'm not going to give my winners of these games until I say we just go matchup by matchup, what we think, basically really quick or whatever. And then at the end, we pick all our winners and make our brackets by ourselves or whatever. We each take our turn, go through our entire bracket, who wins, who loses, then the next guy goes.
I have a bracket up here. Let me pull up the bracket. We can have this on screen, I guess.
Perfect. I have it on my computer too, so I can see it.
Okay.
But yeah, let's just go matchup by matchup and then pick a winner at the end after we do all the matchups. And then we'll basically do it like that.
So not do the bracket now, do it after?
We'll do it after. Just leave it up so we can see it. Yeah. But I was saying, like, after we go through all the matchups and give both of our thoughts, and then at the end we each give our entire bracket what we think.
Okay. First game, let's do it. Chargers-Texans. I know a lot of people say this is the worst game out of the playoffs. I personally disagree. I think these are two young quarterbacks who have something to prove. They have a lot to prove. CJ Stroud has to beat some allegations of, maybe I'm not as good as people thought I was going to be. Justin Herbert has to beat the exact same allegations. So this is a tough game, Nate. This is a tough game. Obviously, injuries have riddled both teams. Obviously, the Texans will not have Tank Dell. He suffered a pretty bad injury. Nico Collins is back. Joe Mixon's healthy, so hopefully the Texans can be ready to go. This is a tough game. Chargers are piping hot. Yep. But I don't know. The Texans looked bad in the playoffs last year against Lamar Jackson. They did not look good. I think
I'm not picking my winner yet. I'm saving that for later.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're saving our winners for later.
Yeah, save your winners for later when we
Okay.
actually fill it out.
So just preview these games.
Yeah, we'll just preview it first.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a good game, Nate. It's a good game, and I think both of these guys have a lot to prove. A lot to prove. With one playoff win is going to change one of these guys' career trajectory.
Yep.
This is a great first round matchup. I love it.
Yeah, so here's my little take about this game. The Chargers, like you said, are one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. I like, and we'll get to the other LA team, I like how both LA teams have been playing going down the stretch, honestly. And I think they are both dark horses to make a sneaky little playoff run for themselves. I think the Texans are going in this as the underdog at home, which is kind of funny. They are the 4 seed, Chargers are the 5. The Texans had the worst record amongst the AFC divisional winners. And here's that interesting. I saw a joke about this. The Texans never get a night game. They always play the afternoon game
3:30
on the first
Saturday.
day.
It's a tradition.
Yep. They basically own the 3:30, 4:30 time slot. They're on CBS. I think when I look at this game, what worries me most about the Texans is the injury concerns. They brought in Stephon Diggs to be that wide receiver 1, and now he's injured. They lost him basically around Thanksgiving time or before Thanksgiving, I think it was. Nico Collins has had injury concerns. Tank Dell is now out. I think he's out all next year too. That entire offense worries me. It's going to go upon Joe Mixon. How can their run game attack the Chargers D-line? That kind of worries me. What I also like about the Chargers here in this matchup, I'm not going to pick my winner yet, but what I like from the Chargers side is how they've been able to use a guy like Ladd McConkey, how they've been able to kind of implement Quentin Johnson, even though I think Ladd McConkey is the better wide receiver of the two. They've made him look better than last year. And Justin Herbert has been playing some great football, in my opinion. And I liked what you said about C.J. Stroud, especially for the Texans. He has a lot to prove, too, because he is having a sophomore slump, if you've ever seen it. He's not playing like people thought he would play. You and I both had him in MVP talks. He has not looked anywhere close to any of the MVP candidates. He has not played to the par of a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, even a Joe Burrow. Some people have MVP conversations, including Jared Goff or Sam Darnold. He has not played as good as them either. So he has a lot to prove, and he can prove that if he somehow pulls off a victory here. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that game. I think it's going to be maybe the lowest scoring game of the first round. Honestly, I don't expect a lot of points in this matchup. I think it is close, but I think the Texans are able to keep it close with the little defensive help they had. But I also like the aspect of the Chargers. They brought in Harbaugh. I think that's a great fit for them to bring in Harbaugh for that coaching staff. But moving on, let's just jump to the Prime Video game because I think this is going to take a long time.
Nate,
Ravens hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, 8 o'clock. 2 games on Saturday.
Nate, this is in my opinion, I'm going to go big box here. Bro, Steelers fans, this is a nightmare scenario for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
this is their worst. This is bad for them, and I'll tell you why. The Baltimore Ravens, Nate, are 2-8 in their last 10 games against Pittsburgh Steelers. It is no secret to anyone in the entire universe that the Pittsburgh Steelers own the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson cannot beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is crystal clear. When you take that factor and the fact that Lamar Jackson cannot win in the playoffs and he chokes in the playoffs, and then the factor, Nate, that Zay Flowers isn't playing, and the factor that the Steelers have lost their last 100 games and they need a win. They are desperate for a win. The Ravens have everything to lose in this situation. Now, by all means, was I ready to pick the Baltimore Ravens? Absolutely, I was. And me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, it's going to sound stupid, but this is not a biased take. I've picked against the Steelers multiple weeks. I picked against the Steelers with the Bengals. I've done it before. When I think a team's going to win, I think I picked against the Steelers when they lost to the Ravens last time, Nate. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers in this matchup, and it's simply because this is a Mike Tomlin special game, right? These are the games he's going to win. Now, I guess Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in just ages, since 2016. This is, Nicholas said it, how important is this game for Tomlin? It's really damn important. He has to win this game. Now, I think if you lose this game, it's not you're fired immediately, but I think that there will be even more hot seat talks, and I know you would love that. But when I look at this game, Nate, this is a Ravens team, and this is their worst case scenario. When they saw Pittsburgh Steelers, I know they went, "Oh my God, like God, come on, we have to play them." The only factor that is in the Ravens' way is this game is in Baltimore. If this game was in Pittsburgh, Nate, good Lord, it's just how it works. There's no saying it. I think that if this game was not a division game, if you took the roster and the coaching staff and you moved that to Los Angeles, right? You literally copy and pasted everything about this Baltimore Ravens team and you put them out of our division, take all our history out, I would take them 9 out of 10 times, Nate. But because it's the Baltimore Ravens, because it's a playoff game, because they're 2-10 in their last 10 meetings against the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Lamar Jackson cannot beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they game plan for Lamar Jackson better than any quarterback in the National Football League, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Baltimore Ravens, and that is simply just because of the fact Lamar cannot beat Pittsburgh Steelers, and he cannot win in January.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my pick for later, but when I'm looking at this game, I agreed with what you said. I agreed with what Nicholas said in the chat. If you can pull it up very quick, it was along the lines of, "Does this game mean a lot for Tomlin?" I think it does. I think so many Yinzers, people in southwestern PA, across Steeler Nation, people all over the world watching the Steelers, have looked at how this team has looked over the last couple years. Well, a lot of years in the playoffs. And they haven't done much. It's been, you're in, then you're immediately out. It's like the meme of Homer Simpson coming in with the hat, putting it on the rack, and then taking it right out and leaving the door. That's how this Pittsburgh Steelers team has looked in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin, if you're going into Baltimore, and I think this is actually the first time the Steelers have played the Ravens on the road in the playoffs. They've never, I don't think, played in Baltimore in the playoffs. It's always been in Pittsburgh. This is a very important game for the Steelers aspect, being like, maybe there are people on the hot seat, and maybe we should try to play for their jobs right now. Maybe we should try to play for our coaches right now. If you're Russell Wilson, you're playing for a contract. You're trying to prove, hey, I'm not washed. This is just a 4-game losing streak that we have looked awful.
For some of the best teams in the NFL.
We have looked awful against 4 of these really good teams. And I know a lot of Yinzers have given up on me. I want to prove to them that I can be their quarterback for another year or two. I personally don't think that's the case, but who knows? If you're George Pickens, look at all the media against George Pickens right now. What's there to prove this game? Play your butt off. Make some splash plays. Get a touchdown. Set the standard. Set the tone. And I agree with Nicholas here. This is Russell's last chance to keep his job. And honestly, I would add this last chance to maybe earn a starting job in the NFL. Because even though he's had this losing streak, and if they lose tomorrow, it's against the Ravens. That's 2 games against them. 5 good teams. I mean, I don't see a lot of teams taking the gamble at the cost he's going to want. But like back to George Pickens, this is a big game for him. Why not make a splash play? Why not get the first score of the game? How about Russ connect with George Pickens on the first or second throw of the game? Make a splash, 20-yard play, silence some people that have been hating on them. If you're Najee Harris, why not make a statement? Say you're worth the money, especially if he wants to stay on the Steelers. They declined his 5th-year option. If you want to stay on the Steelers, put up a good game. Say, hey, I'm a better option than Jaylen Warren. I'm a better option than a Cordero Patterson, who you brought in and are still giving rushes to. I'm a better option than a rookie. Say you're Najee freaking Harris. Say you can be the guy to lead this running back core, which he has the potential to. He just doesn't show it. And, like, there's other aspects, like the defense. Wake up. I think the defense should honestly be playing for Terrell Austin's job the way they've looked. I know they looked a lot better against the Bengals in the loss, but, like, still, They've missed so many tackles this year. They look lost. There's players miscuing. There's been issues with the, I guess, play calling. They came out after I think it was the Chiefs game. There was all that drama saying that people weren't following their jobs or whatever. And that can come down on the defensive coordinator if players aren't getting along or doing their job. So I think the defense, you're playing for Terrell Austin's job right now. Arthur Smith is playing to keep a job on the Steelers and maybe look better for a head coaching spot next year because we all know the Jets are interviewing him supposedly. Now, on the Ravens side of things, it's the same type of questions. Can Lamar Jackson prove he can be good in the playoffs? It all came down to last year losing to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game where he did not look good. He did not look good at all. And before that, the Ravens have not been good in the playoffs. They have not looked decent. You are at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first time in the playoffs, and you could just destroy them. I don't like how much of an underdog they have the Steelers in this. They think it's going to be a blowout. What did people learn in the first matchup? They had this going over 40 points. The first matchup was 17-16. The second matchup was a blowout. But, like, come on. It's going to be Steelers-Ravens. It's going to be a gritty matchup. It's going to be close. And it could honestly come down to which team can honestly take advantage of special teams. That's how it works. The Steelers have made multiple special teams plays. I think they have the better kicker this year. But when I'm looking at it on the other side, the Ravens have the better offense. The Steelers don't. Defense-wise, I think the Steelers have the better defense. But honestly, the Ravens, their defense looks okay too these last couple weeks. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to save my pick for later, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be better than a lot of people think it is going to be. A lot of people have this as the biggest blowout of the playoffs. I personally don't think that will be the case. I think there's another particular game that could be a blowout that I'm kind of inching towards that being the blowout and worst game of the playoffs. But yeah, I think both teams have a lot to prove. I think the Steelers have a lot more to prove because they have a lot more questions after especially if they lose. Danny, I'm going to say this: if the Steelers lose, there are going to be a lot of more Pittsburghers. Get ready for Pittsburgh media to be set ablaze. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
If you know where I'm going with this, there's going to be a lot more Tomlin questions if they lose this game. It's going to be an off season of: is he the answer? Is he not the answer? Who knows? Like I said, we've been preaching this. We just want one playoff win. But moving on.
Nate, I just saw this. And talks to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is now the MVP favorite as of the sports books. Josh Allen was minus 500 as of yesterday. He has now jumped to plus 200, and Lamar Jackson, who was plus 300, is now minus 260 on sports books. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
a jump like that is crazy, Nate.
They believe they are really high on the Steelers to get whooped tomorrow. If the Steelers get whooped tomorrow, hypothetically,
but it's a regular season award. No, I think Josh Allen deserves this more than Lamar Jackson.
I feel like with these two, they're going to take into account how they play in the playoffs, which I think it is a regular season award. But honestly, since we're on the topic of Josh Allen, let's get to Bills Broncos.
Yeah.
Take
this off.
I don't know if you want to start or if I want to start. What do you think?
Sean Payton has a very good record against bald head coaches. I know that. And Sean McDermott.
Watch out.
He's bald. But no, I won't, take that into account. Listen, this is a young Broncos team. It has the pieces. Their running game just isn't there yet. It's just not. They can't run the football if they need to. It's a desperate. They're lucky they should even be there. I think they're lucky they should be there. It's unbelievable that Bo Nix is in the playoffs. I think if I'm a Broncos fan, I'm happy with that. I'm happy where my season's at. I'm not expecting a playoff win here. I would like one. I don't think that you go into Buffalo and you win this playoff game. Buffalo's just hot. They're a hot team. I think now that Josh Allen's not the MVP favorite, that's going to light a fire under his ass because I think I know that he thinks and he knows that he deserves that award and that he's deserved it a few times in his career and he hasn't got it. I think Buffalo always is going to feel like an underdog. If the Chiefs are in the playoffs, the Buffalo Bills are always going to feel like an underdog, and they're going to use that mentality. it's going to be a tough Buffalo team to stop, Nate. This is a good team. This is a team that in the beginning of the season, everyone said this Buffalo Bills team was cooked. They said that they lost all their receivers. They lost 5 Pro Bowlers on defense. They said that it's done. Just, poor Josh Allen. They blew it up. Everyone left. No, this is the best Bills team I think we've seen ever.
Yeah.
I think the best Bills team we've ever seen.
I think this is I agree. I agree completely. I don't really have much to add.
This is their year.
I think this Bills team has the most potential they've had, which is funny because they don't have Diggs. They basically downgraded in the wide receiver position, and they bring in Amari Cooper, who's been out and in, and that type of stuff. But I will say the success story here is the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton building them back up. There's been a lot of questions about Sean Payton. Is he good? Is he a good head coach? Is he the fit for the Broncos? The drama with Russell Wilson in the past, and then they bring in Bo Nix. They draft a guy who many had as a second or third round talent, which I honestly, I'll say it was always high on Bo Nix. I thought he had great NFL potential. You've heard me talk about it months ago. I thought he had NFL potential. Started out rocky, and then speaking of the Rocky Mountains in Denver, it's like this kid can be legit. He was probably the second best rookie QB behind Jaden Daniels. And I honestly think Bo Nix will get some Rookie of the Year love. I think he will get some votes, probably from the West Coast media, that type of stuff in Denver and all that. But yeah, I think it's a success story that the Broncos made it. And I guess I'll spoil one of my picks because I was going to say him for the end, but I'll just spoil. This is the Bills, but I don't think it's a blowout like people think. I don't think it is. I think Denver keeps it close. I think Denver is going to keep it close in the first half, and then they might just lose it. But this isn't my blowout of the playoffs. And you know what? I'll start off with going to the NFC. This is my blowout and my hot take of the playoffs. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Rams blow out the Vikings.
Wow.
In Arizona because it's not Los Angeles. You know me. I've been really high on the Rams this year. And the way the Vikings played against a Super Bowl favorite in the Lions, you cannot play like that going into the playoffs. And I was thinking about before we joined today, before all these technical issues I've been having, said to myself, who would I rather have in the playoffs right now? Who would you rather have with the playoff experience leading your team? Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold? And I said completely, honestly, 100%, I said Matthew Stafford.
100%.
I am rather taking him leading a playoff run, a potential playoff run, and depending on if the Commanders or Packers pull things off, they would maybe be going to Detroit unless the Commanders or Packers win their games because they are the lower seeds. The Rams are in a prime position for, in my opinion, what could be a Cinderella run in this playoffs. They have a good seed. They're the 4 seed. There's a couple lower seeds below them that could pull off some upsets in their matchups. But I really like the Rams against the Vikings. I don't know if it's just me. I like what the Vikings did this year. It's a success story. I think their coach is up for a Coach of the Year award, possibly. I like what they did. This Vikings team just looked awful against the Detroit Lions last week, in my opinion. And if they are playing like that, and I'll just say this, that is not the game you want to lose, or that's not the way you want to lose going into the playoffs. And you also think about storyline perspective. The Rams, their city is basically on fire. Why not play for your people in Los Angeles, support them, get them a playoff win? Why not? They're playing in Arizona now. I could easily see the Rams playing with different type of, I guess, way of playing football. They're going to be playing good football on Sunday. Monday. Monday Night Football game. I think this Rams team is destined for a good run here. I think they are going to win this game pretty soundly. They have the Vikings -3 here on ESPN looking at the bracket. I'm taking the Rams, and you know what? That might be an upset, but I'm confident in picking that upset because I would rather have Matthew Stafford mixed with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua than Sam Darnold in the playoffs, personally. Because I like what Sam Darnold's done this year. I just don't believe he is going to have a solid playoff run. I think the wheels might just start falling off. I think he'll get a contract, but that's just me.
Yeah, Nate, I don't see it. I think that this Vikings team has such a good defense. They have the second best defense currently in the NFL behind the Denver Broncos right now. I think that they're going to be able to contain the Rams to a point where the Rams are going to score points, obviously, but I think that the Rams defense is just taking a big blow this year, and that I don't think they're going to be able to play the game of keep up enough. And I think Sam Darnold doesn't have to do enough to where he'll lose this game. In Detroit, Sam Darnold proved that when he has to be the guy, he can't. He can't put the team on his back. He can do it if he's like, okay, well, even if I throw a pick this drive, we can still win. No, he can't play football knowing that I have to play flawless football if I want to win this football game. He can't do that. And I think that he won't have to do that in this game. I think that the Rams have shown a lot of struggle this year. They've shown that they're not that Super Bowl or bust team that they were 2-3 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. I don't know. This is a toss-up for me. This was supposed to be a home game. Now it's not, right? And I think that's detrimental. I think that's huge. There's Vikings fans travel. Like, Vikings fans are not, like, just in Minnesota. Like, there's a chance that there's a very good chance that the Vikings show out the Rams in this game. The Rams just don't have a good fan base. They just don't. That's not me being a hater. I like the Rams. I got a Rams jersey right there. But like, this game not being in LA, man, if I was a Rams fan, I'd be pissed off. I'd rather just delay my game. I get that there's this whole crazy fire situation going on, but this is an indoor stadium. There's probably something that I'm not thinking about there, but to move a playoff game out that you earned be a home playoff game, you earned a home playoff game. I think that's not fair. And I think that that's going to be a thing that the Rams look back on and say, well, it should have been a home playoff game. I think that the excuses are already going to start in that aspect, but this has gone from a home playoff game to possibly an away playoff game with how Minnesota travels and how big that fan base is outside of Minnesota. Arizona is a place where people go to retire, right?
Yeah.
People in LA don't go to Arizona to retire. They stay in LA. So people from Minnesota go to Arizona when they want to retire, and that fan base grows there. It's like the Pittsburgh Steelers, not even that close. But yeah, I think that a lot of stuff has not gone the Rams' way. I can't see them pulling this one out. I can't.
Okay, so moving on, we have two more, then we'll each give our entire bracket, I guess, filled out really quick. I like this matchup coming up, Bucks and Commanders. I think this is a very intriguing one. The biggest story has to be Jaden Daniels. Him and Bo Nix, honestly, two rookie QBs making the playoffs as starters. How about that? They've proved to be the best rookie starters this year as QB-wise. Jaden Daniels, though, he's on the road. He has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is a Buccaneers team that has faced so many injuries this year. They lost Mike Evans for a while. They lost Chris Godwin the entire year. And if Chris Godwin was healthy, this Bucs team could have been a lot better. I think they probably would have still finished as the 3 seed, but they wouldn't have taken until the final week of the season to win this division. Baker Mayfield's played pretty solid football. He kind of slowed down ever since the hot start he's had. Everyone was saying MVP talks for Baker Mayfield. That's kind of died down a lot towards like week 5, I think it was. This Bucs team is pretty intriguing. I'm really intrigued by a certain running back named Bucky Irving. He's taking a lot of love, especially here. I'm really also intrigued by how Jaden Daniels is going to fare in his first ever playoff matchup. Same thing as Bo Nix. How are they going to face the pressure? Both of their teams are the lower seeds. I think Bo Nix is the harder matchup, but how can Jaden Daniels avoid not blowing this opportunity? Because honestly, after the injury he had, the first game post-injury against the Steelers, he did not look that good. He's been kind of held back. This second half, Jaden Daniels has not been as exciting as the first half Jaden Daniels, who was chucking Hail Marys, running for long yards. I'm also curious how this one's going to go, and I'll save my pick for later, but honestly, this might be one of the most intriguing matchups of the playoffs. Both 3v6 matchups, Steelers, Ravens, Buccaneers, Commanders, honestly, for me, are pretty good ones. I think they could be 50-50, one more so than the other. But yeah, that's what I got on Bucks Commanders. I'll throw it to you.
Yes, it's a tough game to predict, Nate. This is a toss up, in my opinion. Listen, the Commanders are a young football team. Jane Daniels is a rookie quarterback. He's a great rookie quarterback. He's the rookie of the year, I think, unanimously. But man, something in Tampa, man. They just find a way. Baker Mayfield's that guy where he just finds a way. He does whatever. But this is tough. The Bucks need to win this game, I think, because they just do. I think the Commanders have less expectations. No one expected them to be good this year. I think that those kind of stuff play into it where, okay, listen, we aren't supposed to be here. Let's go ball out and let's go shock the world. I think a lot of both these teams have chips on their shoulders. They both have reasons to prove it. Stick it to the man. Man, this is a great matchup. I think quarterback wise is a great matchup. Running back wise is a great matchup. Receiving wise, it's a good matchup. Defensively, it's a matchup. But I'm really excited to watch this game. This is going to be a great game to watch. I'm just going to give my prediction. It's so hard for me not to. When I look at this game, Nate, this is the biggest, I don't even know. I'm battling in my head who I'm going to take right now. I could take the Commanders or I could take the Bucks. I think when the cards are stacked against him, dude, I think Baker Mayfield wins football games. I think he does. He beats teams he's not supposed to. I think he is supposed to win this game, which hurts. This game is in Tampa, right?
Yes.
Should be in Tampa. Listen, I'm going to go Bucks here. I think that they're coming off of a fun win where Mike Evans got 1,000 yards and, everyone's having fun with that. Give me the Bucks. And this is a game that I can see going both ways easily.
This honestly could be one of the most interesting games of the entire playoff.
Yeah.
Because going into our next game, this Commanders team, if they win, could be going to Detroit, depending on what the 7 seed does moving on. Eagles, Packers. Now, this one intrigues me a little bit more so than any other of these. I guess it intrigues me more than the 2v7 on the AFC side. Because the Packers, in my opinion, they got screwed over in a very top-heavy NFC, like the Vikings being so good. The Packers finished, I think, with 10 wins this year, kind of like the Steelers. I think it was. I don't have the records pulled up because internet's being whacked. But Eagles, Packers, I think this is a matchup the Eagles did not want. More so kind of like the Ravens and Steelers. I know these two teams haven't really had a long, storied history, but for some reason in the playoffs, the Packers always get it done. Last year, they went into Dallas as a heavy underdog. If you remember how that one went, they ended up making a little bit of a playoff run. I think it ended in the divisional to the Lions, I think it was. But then the year before that, they made the NFC Championship, I'm pretty sure. They lost to the Niners. This Packers team is more than capable of making playoff runs. And if there's a certain team in the NFC that did not want to face them, it might be the Eagles because they've gone into the playoffs. I know Jalen Hurts is healthy now. He's going to be a little rusty, I think. But this Eagles offense, in my opinion, is a superpower. I think this Packers defense, I don't know if they're going to be able to respond to it. I'm really curious to see how Saquon can do after the week off. I'm kind of upset he didn't get the chance to break that record. I wish he did.
Yeah.
Because that's honestly something we might not see again out of a running back. That type of record, honestly, I get why they did it, but still, it kind of made me angry. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. This is a very solid offense, and they have been able to make things work. They started out 2-2. People were calling for Sirianni's head. They are calling for him to be fired. I was one of those guys. I was like, I don't think this is a coach to be leading this team. He is right the ship, I think. And it's the same thing for LaFleur out of Green Bay. It's like he's keeping this team relevant. And we've compared the Packers to the Steelers of the NFC. They have stayed relevant. Out of both those teams, I take the Packers personally. But they're staying relevant with what they have, and they're making things work. This is a great matchup. I don't know why they didn't make this a night game. I think this should have been Sunday Night Football practically. I would rather watch this game in prime time than Bucks Commanders. Nothing against Bucks Commanders, but I think Packers Eagles is going to be probably one of the best first round matchups. That honestly, even though the Packers are a 7 seed, and I'm not going to give my pick here, I'm going to save it for later. But I think this is the lowest seed that could maybe win a game. And I think this is a trap for Philadelphia. We saw Philadelphia last year go in as a heavy favorite against the Bucks in the playoffs. They lost in the first round because they collapsed at the end of last season. They are going into this first round with a QB who hasn't played, I think, in 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. That injury happened to Jalen Hurts, the concussion issue. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I think this is another one. I think it leans to a certain team, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes another way. I'll go throw it to you, then we'll do our bracket.
Yeah, I look at this game, Nate. I think, again, this is a Packers team that is just known for kind of shocking the world, winning games they shouldn't. But, playing devil's advocate here, that there's allegations Jordan Love needs to beat, right? They're saying he can't beat teams over 500. And, let's look at his
kind of like James Franklin
games this year. Yeah. Lost to Philadelphia. That's a team over 500. You beat the Colts. They're not 500. You beat the Titans. They're not 500. You lost to the Vikings. They were 500. You beat the Rams. I don't know if they were 500 at the time. I think they were struggling at that time. You beat the Cardinals. You beat the Texans, who are over 500. You beat Jacksonville, who's not over 500. You lost to Detroit, a team over 500. Basically, Jordan Love is not beating these good teams. I like Jordan Love. I believe in Jordan Love. I think he's a good quarterback, but the allegations are the allegations. I'd like to see them beat these, but man, I'll tell you what, this is a good Eagles team. It's a damn good Eagles team. They haven't lost a game since week 4 with Jalen Hurts. They lost one with Kenny Pickett, sure, but this is a damn good Eagles team, Nate. And when they're healthy, I don't really know how you stop them with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon, and Jalen Hurts. It's a crazy good offense. It's a crazy good offense. And the Packers offense is their biggest handicap. Their defense is there. It's good. It's solid. Packers run game is solid, but that wide receiver core, man, it just needs to be a little bit better. And Jordan Love needs to limit those interceptions. I think if the Packers can play perfect football, they can win this football game.
Man, aren't they? They are literally the Steelers of the NFC.
They have to play perfect ball. I think they have to play perfect football if they want to win this game. Just they got a bad seed. They got a bad man. They got to play the Eagles. It's a rough spot to be in. But if they can beat the Eagles, then we're going to be talking about Jordan Love in a crazy light. We're going to be talking about this guy like he's the next up.
The Packers and Steelers, both storied franchises, very legendary, both with really good defenses, kind of subpar offenses. Both of them underdogs in the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. Danny, since you've kind of given up some of your wins, I want you to go through your entire bracket really quick. What do you think? Who wins these matchups? Who wins the Super Bowl? What do you got?
So, Texans, Chargers. I forget who I took. Oh, I can't pick it.
Yeah, you kind of got to remember it.
I can't pick it. I thought it was going to be like a pick thing. Yeah. Honestly, I forget who I took. I think I took the Chargers.
I think it was, yeah.
I
think he did say Chargers.
I'm gonna take the Texans. Honestly,
okay.
Screw it. I'm gonna backdoor. I'm gonna take the Texans. I think Stroud just has better weapons. I think that the Chargers shouldn't be here. I mean, I don't think they should be here. They didn't expect to be here in the beginning of the season. Texans expected to be here. They expected to be better than this year. I'm gonna take the Texans to win this game.
Yeah, I like that one. I am going along with you, but I am going to go with the Chargers.
Okay.
I like Herbert. I like how he's been playing. So I'm going LA winning this one. Steelers Ravens.
Steelers Ravens, Nate. I'm going Steelers.
Cool. I would love it. I'm just not comfortable. I'm going Baltimore, and I get the reasoning, but I'm going Ravens here.
I'm obviously going Bills here. So then what would it be? It would be Bills.
Yeah, I'm as well going Bills. It would be for
Bills,
you.
Texans, Steelers, Chiefs.
Yeah, that's what you would have. And I would have Bills, Ravens, Chargers, Chiefs. So let's go with you first.
Chiefs, Steelers. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Bills, Texans. I'm going to go with the Texans. No shocker here. We've got a Chiefs, Bills, AFC Championship. What a shocker. Nate, this is the year I'm going Buffalo.
For my divisional, I have Chiefs and Chargers. I'm taking the Chiefs over LA, but I wouldn't be shocked if it were a close game. I think Herbert can keep it close in their history. Bills Ravens would be my 2-3. I'm as well going Buffalo winning the divisional round. I think this is where the Ravens end run ends. I think Josh Allen wins the battle of the MVP faithfuls. And when I'm looking at the Super Bowl candidates, I as well am taking the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC side of it. I think this is the year the Bills beat Mahomes, that is, in the regular season. It's been a long time since they've been able to beat them in any way, shape, or form. And I think Allen gets his first playoff win against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, they've been really good. I know they've lost 2. I wouldn't really count their last loss because they played all their backups. I don't take that into account. Basically a one-loss football team that has played really frustratingly kind of subpar football out of the best team in the league, honestly, in my opinion. They played a lot of close games. I think of the 1 seed, the Lions have played the better football, and they've had their troubles lately. But I am going Buffalo, winning the AFC, and I'll kick it off with you, Start. What's your NFC pick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vikings to beat the Rams, and then I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers to beat the Commanders, and I guess I'll go Eagles to beat the Packers. I don't love that. So then I have Eagles, Bucks, and Rams or Vikings, Lions. I'm gonna take the Vikings to beat the Lions again. I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Buccaneers. Lions, Eagles, NFC Championship. Man, this is so basic. I'm going with the Detroit Lions to beat the Eagles. I don't even know, though. I don't know. I think that easily that the Eagles could win this.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't want to be cliche and take the Lions, but I'm going to. I'm going to take a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. And
a lot of people want that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really fun Super Bowl, Nate. That'd be fun.
It would be fun. With my picks, you already know where I'm leaning in Rams and Vikings. I am going LA as honestly the underdog, even though they're a 4 seed. I'm taking the Rams to win that one. I just did not like how the Vikings played against Detroit on the last game of the season. They just did not look good, and that's not the type of game I really want to see them playing before the playoffs. So I'm going LA, winning that one. Buccaneers, Commanders. I as well am taking the Bucks here, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Commanders can win this. So I'm going Tampa. And then Philly and Green Bay, I am going Philadelphia as well, but I think it is probably – this could be the highest scoring game of the entire playoffs. I think Jordan Love keeps up with them. Heck, this is a rematch from the week 1. I think it was the second game of the year in Brazil. That was the game Jordan Love got hurt, so why not get some revenge here?
Yeah.
Prove himself. Great storyline they got there. So my NFC is looking like instead of Lions, Vikings, I have Lions and Rams, and then we have the same Bucks and Eagles. When I'm looking at Lions, Rams, it's the Matthew Stafford return to Detroit for the second year in a row. But I am taking the Lions in this round 2 of the playoffs. I know they beat the Rams last year in the first round. I still think they're going to beat them this year, so I'm taking Detroit winning it. However, I think it's honestly, if I were to give a score, this could be like one of those 19-17 games. I think the Lions and Rams keep it close, but I would take Detroit in that one. Eagles, Bucks. Oh, I'm taking Philly, but I just cannot keep the thought of last year's collapse against the Bucks out of my mind. And honestly, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you are that fan base. I think there is no matchup you want more than a revenge matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It would be in Philly in this hypothetical matchup. So I think the Eagles will take this round of it. I think it's turned into a little bit of a postseason rivalry because hypothetically those two teams play each other. The Bucks are going to be all talk. Buccaneers fans are going to be talking their crap a whole week against Eagles fans saying like, "Ooh, I like this one." But I think the Eagles win this one, and I'm with you. Eagles, Lions. Oh, we might have the same Super Bowl, and I hate to say it, but I am going to copy you. This would be honestly one of the best conference championship weekends we could see. Chiefs, Bills, a storied rivalry. Lions, Eagles, a possible potential rivalry to come, especially if the Lions can stay relevant for years to come. I think the Lions get that NFC championship win. I think they take advantage of falling short last year. I think they're going to fix those issues because it came down to overcoaching. And I could see either Sirianni or Dan Campbell overcoaching in this game. And I think in this round, Nick Sirianni will overcoach, make a mistake, Lions win. So we each have a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. And very quickly, I'll give my pick before we jump to you. I'm going to go with Buffalo in this round. I think the Lions are still maybe a year away, and there's why. They have so many injuries on the defensive side I think Josh Allen would be able to pick them apart. However, it is a close game, but I am taking Buffalo. I think Detroit's injuries are going to come back to bite them, but expect them with a fully healthy Aiden Hutchinson next year to be coming out for blood. I am taking Buffalo to win your Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing, Nate. When I look at this game, I just think that the Bills won it so much more, but like they think that they should have had a few Super Bowls here. I think this Lions seems damn good, Nate. It's hard for me to pick against them. I do think they can win the Super Bowl. I want to pick the Lions. I do. Oh, it's so hard for me not to pick the Lions. Man, I think I'm just gonna say screw it. I'm gonna be different than you. I'm just gonna pick the Lions to do
Fair.
it. It's just a fun team. They're just a fun team. I'd rather them win the Super Bowl than the Bills. I just want them to win more than the Bills, even though I think the Bills probably would win more than the Lions. I'm gonna take the Detroit Lions here. Not really gonna give a breakdown because I don't know.
Can't really break it down.
So far fetched, yeah.
But yeah, those are playoff predictions. If we want to go back to the other boxes, I like them. We each have Bills Lions. I think that's kind of funny. Those are our picks. And when I'm looking at ahead, what we could be talking about Tuesday, we'll have the entire first round recapped.
Oh Lord.
We will either be really happy or really angry on that episode. I'm leaning towards we're going to be angry.
I'm gonna be pissed off.
But who knows? Who knows what happens? Maybe there's more coach firings based off of these games. Who knows? I don't think so. But if we have any news, we'll keep you all updated. If anything else happens in the football world, we'll be here to talk about it. If any more receiver drama happens with Tyreek Hill, who knows? Deshaun Watson news came out today. We covered that earlier. So if you're listening now, you're skipping through. If you want to hear our thoughts on Watson, Tyreek Hill, beginning of the episode. But yeah, those are playoff predictions. Yeah,
good episode today. We'll have a lot to talk about Tuesday. Again, you said it. We'll get the predictions ready, but that's going to do it for today. Thank you for everyone who joined in. Always thank you to everyone who comments. Maybe next week try and take some callers at the end. We'll see how that goes. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
See y'all later.